India has a rich cultural heritage and a growing economy, but its location means it shares borders with several countries, each with its own set of challenges. To the northwest, there's Pakistan. To the north, China, Nepal and Bhutan. To the east, Bangladesh and Myanmar. And to the south, Sri Lanka and the Maldives. These neighboring countries have historically played a big role in shaping India's security and diplomatic strategies. But over the last few years, a player is emerging as a common thread among these nations: China. Remember the British strategy of divide and rule? It was this approach that allowed them to govern India for over 200 years. Today, China is using a modern version of this approach: invest and rule, also known as the debt trap diplomacy. This strategy has big implications for India's security, making its neighbors potential threats. In recent years, China's influence in South Asia has grown a lot. Countries like Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Nepal have become tangled in China's web of investments and loans, leading them to lose control over their own resources and infrastructure. In this video, I will take you through how China's strategic moves in these countries are a major threat to India's security. Let's start with Pakistan, often referred to as China's all-weather friend. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, part of China's ambitious One Belt, One Road initiative, is a prime example of China's strategy. With an estimated cost of about $62 billion, CPEC aims to connect Gwadar Port in Pakistan's Balochistan province to China's Xinjiang region. However, behind the facade of economic cooperation lies a deeper, more strategic motive. Gwadar Port, a deep-sea port acquired by China in 2013, is crucial for Beijing's maritime strategy. It's not just an economic hub, but a potential naval base that can project China's power in the Indian Ocean. Moreover, China's investment in infrastructure, telecom, hydroelectric projects in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir further strengthens its presence near India's borders. China's support for Pakistan goes beyond economic investments as well. It includes backing Pakistan's military and intelligence operations, funding alleged terrorist groups, and promoting anti-India narratives. This multifaceted approach aims to keep India occupied with border conflicts and internal security issues, slowing down its economic growth and creating instability. Next, let's look at Nepal. Historically, Nepal has shared close cultural and religious ties with India. However, China's growing influence is changing this dynamic. The Chinese Exim Bank's $215 million loan to build an international terminal at Pokhara airport is a clear example of China's debt trap diplomacy. The terms of this loan are very tough for Nepal's economy, with high interest rates and shorter payback periods compared to other international lenders. The airport, which was built by a Chinese firm and officially opened in January last year, has struggled to attract international flights, especially from Indian Airlines. This has raised concerns about its economic viability and the potential for China to take control of the airport in case of default. China's influence extends to Nepalese politics as well. By supporting certain political factions and funding infrastructure projects, China aims to shift Nepal's traditional pro-India stance. This could have significant implications for India, particularly in terms of security and regional stability. Bhutan, a small but strategically important neighbor, has maintained a special relationship with India based on historical, cultural and political ties. However, China's advances in Bhutan are causing a concern. China has been involved in border disputes with Bhutan, particularly in the Doklam Plateau, which has vital strategic importance for India. The 2017 standoff between Indian and Chinese troops at this tri-junction, which is claimed by all three nations, highlighted the potential for conflict. Despite ongoing border talks, China continues to build infrastructure in disputed areas, aiming to shift the status quo in its favor. While Bhutan currently does not have any formal diplomatic relations with China, any shift in this stance could challenge India's influence in this region. Furthermore, China's invitation to Bhutan to join the Belt and Road Initiative poses a risk of economic dependency and increased Chinese influence. Moving south, we come to Sri Lanka. China's takeover of the Hambantota port in a 99-year lease agreement in 2017 is a stark example of debt trap diplomacy. This port was actually initially proposed to India, but we rejected it because we considered it unviable. But China saw strategic value. Hambantota is strategically located along major shipping routes in the Indian Ocean. China's control over the port allows it to potentially use it as a naval base, posing a direct threat to India's southern coastline. This is particularly concerning given the proximity of India's strategic assets like ISRO and DRDO facilities. Sri Lanka's economic crisis in 2022 further highlighted the risks of Chinese investments. With over $8 billion in debt to China, Sri Lanka is struggling to repay its loans, leading to concerns about Chinese control over most strategic assets. In Bangladesh, China's influence is rapidly growing. With investments in infrastructure, industrial sector, and significant trade agreements, China is making its presence felt. China's total investment in Bangladesh has reached over $7 billion, with construction contracts worth $22.94 billion. The massive influx of Chinese funds is shifting Bangladesh's economic dependencies away from India, posing a challenge to India's regional influence. The potential Chinese control over the Chittagong port, a critical military base, is particularly concerning. This port's strategic location could provide China with a significant foothold in the Bay of Bengal, threatening India's maritime security. The Maldives, a picturesque island nation, has recently seen a shift in its political landscape. The election of a pro-China government is a worrying development for India. China's investment in Maldives infrastructure, including redevelopment of the international airport, are part of its broader strategy to gain a strategic foothold in the Indian Ocean. Maldives' proximity to India's Minicoy Island and the western coast makes it a critical point of interest. With 43% of its national debt owed to China, the Maldives is at a high risk of falling into China's debt trap. This could lead to increased Chinese influence and the potential use of Maldivian territory for military purposes. Myanmar, a country with abundant resources and strategic location, is another key player in China's Belt and Road Initiative. China's investment in road and rail connectivity as well as port developments are aimed at securing a direct route to the Indian Ocean. This backdoor access to the Indian Ocean enhances China's strategic capabilities. Myanmar's ongoing political unrest and military control provides China with opportunities to deepen its influence. The country's reliance on Chinese investments makes it susceptible to China's strategic interests, posing a threat to India's eastern front. China's ambitions are not limited to influencing India's neighbors. It also has direct territorial claim over parts of India, particularly in Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh. The debt trap policy is a very expensive affair that China has taken up, and it seems to now be costing them heavily as well. China itself is going through an economic crisis, majorly because of the crash in its real estate sector. This crisis is definitely going to slow down their efforts around India, but is not going to stop them.